In a world that is filled with distractions, in a world that there's so much noise, and right now we don't even know what to focus on, how do we personally stay on track with the things that we said we want to do and keep at the forefront of our minds and our hearts the reason that we do it for? Hey guys, welcome to Agents in the Trenches, the space and the place where we talk about the real, raw realities of exactly what is happening in the marketplace of real estate agents, and not just in our local market, our global market, but our national market. And today I have a unique opportunity to have a very profound conversation with a person that I've been watching from afar for several years now. And I've been very inspired and very intrigued by how this person has evolved, how they have positioned themselves, how this person has become the person he is today. And I don't even want to take up more time because this is going to be a profound conversation. You're going to be touched at the skill level, the heart level, the mind level, and I'm telling you the spiritual level. So let's bring to the studio my friend and dear colleague, Mike Collier. How are you, Mike? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. What's going on, agents in the trenches? Glad to be here.
Yes, actually, good morning, good evening, good night. We don't know who's
All of
going to
that.
watch this. So if you're watching us on live, give us a hashtag live. If you're watching us on replay, give us a hashtag replay. And let's start sharing because this conversation I know is going to be a soulful conversation.
Amen.
Mike, no one knows you better than you. Tell us who Mike Collier is.
Great question. Mike Collier is an evolving individual. I am constantly growing. So, who you know today may not be who you see 3 years from now, 5 years from now. And actually, God willing, I won't be the same person. And so, I've evolved over the years. But at heart, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a dad to Brooklyn and Bryson, which is Brooklyn's my 11-year-old daughter, and Bryson's my 7-year-old son. Um, I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, born and raised. I moved down to Orlando, Florida in 2004 to start working for Disney. I worked on the Disney College program and ended up being there for 12 years. So I worked at Disney for 12 years, seeing some of the highest level guest service and in business that business has to offer. And in 2019, I actually ended up in real estate, joined EXP Realty, started selling real estate. And my goal is to bring the Disney guest service into the real estate transaction. And so
I love that.
I sell real estate. I'm a real estate advisor, but I also am the host of the Leverage Lounge podcast, which we could probably get into in just a bit.
Yes. How long have you had your podcast going?
I've had it for just less than a year, so I think we're about 5 months in.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
So break this down for us. Why real estate? What got you into real estate? What caught your attention? What was that defining moment for you when you said, I'm going to do real estate?
yeah. So when I left, so when I was at Disney, I was in sales at Disney. So I sold Disney Vacation Club, and Disney Vacation Club is Disney's version of timeshare. So uniquely, you have to actually have to have your real estate license in order to sell Disney Vacation Club because it's deeded real estate. And so in
Okay.
2007, while I was at Disney, is when I got my real estate license. I like to say that Mickey Mouse paid for my real estate license,
Ah,
and so I was using that to sell timeshare. And by 2010, I was selling Disney's timeshare on board the Disney cruise ships, and so I was selling while sailing, and I was traveling all over the world. It was amazing. I was making great money. I had great people that I was working with, and seeing the world. I've been as far west as Alaska and as far
okay.
east as St. Petersburg, Russia, and
Oh,
everywhere in between.
wow.
Yeah, yeah, and so I got married in 2012. We had my daughter in 2014. Had my son in 2018. But when we had my daughter, I was already 2 years. Well, I say she was 2 years old when I decided that I'm traveling a lot. I'm missing a lot of things at home, and I wanted to be there for her. So I decided I needed to stay home. I could either make the money, focus on the money, or I could focus on the memories. And I chose the
Oh,
memories. I chose the moments. And so I left Disney and began flipping homes. So I started using my real estate license. I was flipping homes. I had taken a Robert Kiyosaki course. Some of you guys know the Robert Kiyosaki investing course, right?
yes.
Paid like 30 grand to learn all types of investing. Went in with a good buddy of mine that I've known since sixth grade. interestingly enough, fast forward, not only am I selling real estate, but he also sells real estate. He's also at EXP. He's not only my sponsor, but he sells residential commercial, and they just bought a 600 plus unit apartment building in Atlanta.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so that's what they do. They buy and sell apartment complexes. But yeah, so I came into general real estate once I started realizing that, yeah, I've done flipping, I've done wholesaling, I've done a lot of different things. But I decided to sell general real estate in 2019, came over to EXP, and the rest has been history. It's been amazing.
Okay, so let's break this down because let me tell you, you and I come from what we could probably say are the wrong side of the tracks, for a lack of a better, analogy, right? We're minorities. Um, I don't know if you're like me, but a lot of times, we got to live through the stigmas of the cultures that we represent.
Hmm.
How
Hmm.
have you defied those odds? Because I want to speak to the people that are out there feeling like, you know what, I just don't have what it takes. I come from the wrong culture, the wrong place, the wrong side of the track. But you have found a way, and I know it's probably the Disney experience in you that has created this, optimum level or version of yourself. But I mean, when you are on stage, you just represent the best of, your ethnicity. I just want to be honest because
I
I'm
love
very
that.
observant. You represent the best of your ethnicity. You represent, the world class, um, level of who you are, the way you speak, the way you
Yeah.
dress, the way you articulate, the way that you command the stage, how you just embrace the people. How did that happen?
Oh, well, I appreciate all of that. I would say that, it's the way that God wired me, though. I
Okay.
truly do love people. I truly always want to do whatever I can. I tell the agents that I lead now, I like, I have the most satisfaction in knowing that I had a small something small to do with your success, right? A
Okay.
small part to play in your success. And so anything that I can do to help people be their most successful selves, and get the most out of it. I think part of it is also I'm an empath. And so
Mm,
I can feel what other people are feeling, which I think makes a great host on stage. When you're on stage, you're either in front of, you can be in front of 5 to 10 people, you can be in front of 5 to 10,000, right?
right.
And when you're and I know you know this because you're on the microphone on the stage often, but you are stewarding people's energy and their
Mm,
emotions, and you understand that what you say and how you say it and the way you deliver something can shift the crowd. And sometimes you're wanting to bring them up, and sometimes you're wanting to just kind of let everything just kind of settle for a bit, and you have to know when and how to do that. And I think without that empathetic level, it's kind of hard to do it. And so I've seen people on stage not do it well, but
mm.
I think that I'm wired to do it well because of, again, how God wired me to be. And so I've always been that way, even as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Even, I was that kid when my family would come over. When my family would come over, I would always ask them to spend the night, or I
Oh,
always wanted to spend the
okay.
night with them. And I'd
Oh,
always, like, I'm trying to get my mom and my dad to, like, spend the night at my uncle's house because I didn't want to leave. I just
okay.
enjoyed being around family. I enjoyed the good times and all of that, and I never wanted that to end. And so it's just who I've always been. So now, what I realize as an adult, is that I'm wired for community. I'm
Oh, I
built
love
for
that.
community, and so I create spaces that create community where people can feel seen, feel heard, feel loved, feel appreciated. And anytime I get a chance to do that, whether it's from a stage or in a quiet room or on a podcast,
Right.
that's what I aim to do.
I love that. Well, I want to acknowledge one of your fans, Gino Pringle. Gino Pringle is writing on the chat that one of his goals is to meet you, Mike. Well, I know he can do that if he decides to go to build at sea, right? And
That's
makes that
right.
investment in himself and in his future. And so, yes, everybody else that's watching, tell us where you're watching from. Drop your city, your state, your country in the chat. So,
Yes.
Mike, let's go a little deeper. So, 2019, you come over to EXP
Yep.
and you found your You found your adoptive family, if I can say that, at the Global Alliance. How did that connection happen? Because your senior partner is in Atlanta, I believe you said,
Yeah,
but
that's right.
you hang out with us at the Global Alliance, and I love it because you're like the main man of so many things that we do. Tell us how that happened.
Yeah, it's a funny story. So in 2018, I was wholesaling with a firm, and we went up to a business lounge that's a lot of other business people go there, and so I'm sitting there with my group, and I happen to meet Bobby Davidowitz. And
Mm,
Bobby's just, hey man, how's it going? So well, you
uh-huh.
guys, right? And so we start a conversation, and me and Bobby are really brothers from another mother, right? And
Mm,
so we start a conversation. We're just kicking it, and I saw Gil. Of course, I didn't know Gil, but I saw him sitting at the bar, and Gil was being his very stoic self, right? Like I think he barely acknowledged that I was there,
yes, his
and
Gil
but
self.
as being his Gil self, he's like tuned in on something that was on TV or whatever, and so and Bobby and I hit it off, and it was like, yeah, let's stay in touch. All right, cool, let's stay in touch. So um, maybe I think it was maybe like 2 months later, I was back at that same lounge, and Bobby was there as well, and we're like, yo.
Okay.
Hey, I remember. Yeah, how's it going, man? How's everything? How's wholesaling? I was like, you know what? I actually made a switch. He's like, really? What'd you do? And I'm like, yeah, I decided to go into general real estate. So I'm selling real estate now. He goes, oh, who'd you go with? And I said, oh, I'm with EXP Realty now. And he goes, no way. I said, yeah, because they were Exit Realty at the time when I met them. And
Okay.
he goes, bro, we're coming to EXP. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, man. And so he always talks about that. Him and Gil always talk about that now. Gil blames Bobby, but they're like, they should have been recruiting me back then because I probably would have said yes, and I would have been,
Uh-huh.
I would have been in their downline. But it was just so funny that we both made the same decision at right at around the same time and didn't even know it, and then we saw each other again. And they started inviting me to the office. And once I started going to the office, even as a newer agent, I knew that I still
Hmm.
had things to offer. Right? Again, I always try to
Right.
create spaces. I always try to do what I can to create community and make people feel seen, appreciated, and heard. And so they asked me to be an instructor in the at the office. I started teaching classes,
Mm.
not even officially like an official instructor, but like we had these Team Help Tuesdays and Team Help Thursdays in our culture center, and they were always like, hey, if anybody has anything that you want to teach, then like step up. This is your moment to step up. And I was like, yeah, I'll help. I can teach on social media. I can teach on this. I'll teach on that.
Love it.
And so that's what I started doing. I started teaching on open houses because, that's what I was doing. And slowly but surely, I became one of the coaches in the office. And they were like,
Wow.
you know what, dude, you're just the right fit. Like, this is exactly what we want for you. And this is for anybody who's out here building an organization, whether you're with EXP or any other
Hmm.
brokerage. I think we do it best in our brokerage, which is, you know, you don't have to be on that person's team or even in their organization to be able to add value. You
Yes.
can add value by simply being authentically who you are and just and know that there's a space for you to be who you are. And if you're not in a space allowing you to be who you are, which hopefully is helping other people, then you need to change spaces. And
Yes.
yeah, and so that's what we do. We create spaces for people who want to be authentically them, and I was able to find my space there too.
Well, let me tell you, you inspire me because I'm like, I am going to find my Mike Collier in Southwest Florida because listen,
Oh,
I'm the junior partner for, Veronica, Rebecca, Carlos, Gil, and we're all part of the Global Alliance, which I absolutely love. But I've always told them, I need the vibe you guys have in Orlando and Southwest Florida. And I've always said that for many years until I got tired of, waiting for it to happen. And you know how they say, if you want a great future, don't wait for it, make it,
that's right.
create it. So that's where we started Winners Wednesday Productivity Bootcamp. And that's what we're doing. We have a community of people that are coming together. And right now we get anywhere between, 20 agents coming from 13 different brokerages. And for me, it's just a matter of pouring out into them. So I
Hmm.
want to continue there because
Good.
today's real topic is you want to talk about something that I believe has become an epidemic, for a lack of a better term. in our industry, and that is the word focus, right?
Yeah.
Um, Listen, I've been guilty of calling people, hey, you're suffering from the Dory syndrome. You're hunting for squirrels. Break that down for us, because in a world that has so much noise, what do you see happening when it comes to focus with real estate professionals?
Yeah, I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding, right? We know that the majority of the agents that come into this business end up failing in this business,
Mm,
and the reason why, I believe, a lot of the reason is, maybe it's due to lack of hard work or at work ethic or whatever else. I mean, there's a couple things. One of the things that I know is the employee mindset. I talk about often, right? Like the employee mindset says that
oh,
I show up to work and I get in at 9 and I,
come on.
do some things and then I clock out at 5
Yep.
and I go home and I do, my own personal stuff. And then I do it again the next week, the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. And next week, what am I expecting? I'm expecting a paycheck. That's what I'm expecting.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't come. And I'm like, well, but why doesn't it come? I'm doing the things. I'm showing up. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, well, showing up is only half the battle, right?
Right.
And going, so a lot of new agents, they'll go to a lot of the classes and they show up to the classes, they show up online, they show up for to listen to podcasts like this. But I wonder how many people are actually listening to this podcast taking notes,
Come on. Yep.
right? And not only are you taking notes, but how many taking notes will actually decide to take action?
Right.
And so what ends up happening is we get a lot of note takers, but we don't get a lot of action takers. And the
Mm,
problem is because they're not focused long enough on the one thing. We're learning all of the things. Here's the thing. The truth about real estate is that it actually isn't hard, right? It's simple, but it's not easy, right? It's a very simple thing. If you can find one thing to focus on, I'll actually tell you. I'll actually tell you what to focus on. How about that?
okay. Yes.
Okay. The goal with real estate is conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Conversations. Having more real estate conversations. I like to say, when you can find a way to turn more conversations into real estate conversations, you will cash more real estate commission checks.
Yes.
So your question, agents who are listening, whether your business is doing pretty good or struggling, is how can you get into more conversations about real estate? Maybe you're conversing with total strangers. Some of you are built like that. This is
Mm,
why door knocking works for some agents and not others. This
right.
is why cold calling works for some, but not others. Because the people who are willing to do the door knocking, willing to do the cold calling, willing to do the open houses, are simply understanding one thing that most other people don't understand. It's all about getting into more conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Get into more conversations and start turning those conversations into real estate conversations, and you will cash more real estate commission checks. And so the
Wow.
problem with focus is that we get so distracted by social media. We get, I believe that social media is one of the biggest gifts that we
Yes.
have. I truly believe that it is a gift that we have. But like many things that we are given for our benefit, it could also
Mm-hmm.
be used to our detriment. For
Right.
instance, a lot of agents will doom scroll. But I believe that when you're
Mm,
using social media, that's not like, okay, yeah, some entertainment is fine. But what should you be doing it? How can social media? I said that how is it that a social media platform? We know people who make millions of dollars, maybe not personally, but
mm-hmm.
you know that there are people who make millions and millions of dollars every single year on social media. We know that, right?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, so if that's true, then why is social media free? How is it that we don't have to pay for social media? How is it that we have access to a free platform that we can make millions and millions of dollars from, but only
Mm-hmm.
make millions and millions of dollars? I'll tell you why. It's because many of us are consumer mindset and we get focused on consuming what comes across our feed. So we keep on scrolling. Meanwhile, we're actually watching the content that people who are focused are creating.
Are creating. Ooh,
Isn't
say
that
that
wild?
louder for the people in the back of the room. Oh my
Isn't
goodness.
that crazy?
I
We're,
tell people, on my MMA Monday Masterclass, I tell the people that show up, I say, while you are on Netflix watching somebody else live their dream, you're living a nightmare.
Mm,
You know,
yes.
you've got to become aware that, hey, you know what? There are moments for me to, entertain myself, but these moments cannot be ours
Hmm.
because you just said it. Yeah, say that again. You got to say that louder for the people in the back of the room because listen, we've all been guilty at some point until we wake up and realize, what am I doing? Like, I need to snap out of this. So say it again.
It's so well. It's so easy for it to happen, but again, we're doom scrolling, watching content that was created by people who are focused on living their dreams, who are
Yep.
focused on doing the thing, who are the action takers that I was talking about. Maybe they sat through a class, they took the notes, but now they're taking the action. So you're watching their content, and
Yes.
we call it entertainment. They call it work.
Yes. And do you think these people honestly wake up every single morning, 365 days a year saying, OMG, I want to create content today?
No,
No, they're
absolutely
human
not.
like we are.
Absolutely not. And so that's where discipline comes in. Discipline is doing it whether you feel like it or not, whether it's rain,
Mm,
sleet, or snow. And listen, again, it's not easy.
nope.
It's simple, but it's just not easy. And this is why only a few make the money and have the things that we say that we feel like we deserve to have. That we say that we want. And and I even as I talk about this, I'm not talking about this as someone perched on top of a hill on a throne saying, I figured it out. Let me tell you how to do it, peons. That's not what this is.
No.
This is me learning in real time and understanding and analyzing myself and my own habits and my own thoughts
Right.
and saying, okay, there's certain things that I have to get out of my way, but I'm noticing these patterns,
Yes.
especially in the real estate industry. I notice these patterns. I mean, we have such a high failure rate amongst agents. It is sad. And here's what's so sad about it for me. It truly is sad. I don't just say like, oh,
Hmm.
and from a judgmental standpoint, I'm saying it truly is sad. And here's why it saddens me, is because these are people who, most entrepreneurs today did not come from a family of entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
Okay.
Right.
So what does that mean? That means that the person who decided to become an entrepreneur is someone who probably stepped away from a 9 to 5 job,
Hmm.
who were told as they were kids that that's what you need to do, get a good job, good pay, good benefits, right? Get you a good job, right? Like our parents used to tell
Have
us, right?
security.
They have security, but they've decided to go a different route, the
Hmm.
path less traveled. And they
Yes.
went down the path of entrepreneurship and they got punched in the mouth.
Mm,
And many of them don't know how to get up from that. Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth,
yep.
right? And so what they find on the other side of this coin of that we call entrepreneurship is that it's not just showing up. You can't just be you and make a whole bunch of money. Those people who are like, just be you, just be natural, just show up as your authentic self. Guess what? There's a lot more work that has to be done.
Yes.
Show up as your authentic self. You actually have to have a different level of thickness of skin to be your
Hmm.
authentic self and continue to show up as your authentic self. There's a lot of people who are not going to like your authentic self, and you got to be okay with that
Of course.
because you got to
I,
keep on showing up.
I want to show you, I want to ask you a quick question. So how do you tell people, we're talking specifically to realtors, but this is universal. It affects
Mhm.
every human on the planet at every level, professionals, business owners, entrepreneurs. And obviously, like you said, our industry has such a huge failure rate, right? And people just throw in the towel
Yeah.
and they blame the industry, they blame everybody else, never take responsibility for saying, you know what, I just didn't get to work. I didn't treat this like a real job. I didn't get up in
Yeah.
the morning, take a shower, and show up at 7:30 or 8:30 in the morning because I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to be independent, and I became independently broke. Like, we got to step up and take responsibility. Real estate works if you work real estate, right?
Okay.
How do you help someone identify and become aware of, here's what you need to focus on? Here's
Yeah.
how you need to think. What would you say?
I would say choose one thing. This goes back to the focus that we're talking about. Choosing one thing, man, that is one of the hardest things to do, especially in today's society. Most of us are in a consumer mindset. It's just how
Mm,
because we live, especially here in the US, we live in a capitalistic society. So, there's a few people who make the things and there's a whole bunch of people who buy the things, right? And we
mm-hmm.
tend to be the people who buy the things, which means that's why. So that's the answer to my question as to why is it that social media is free? It's because advertisers get to advertise, and that ain't for free, right? They pay
Right,
millions and millions of dollars to be in your face because they know when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you're going to start doing is scrolling,
right.
right? And so it's hard for us to stay focused on one thing because that if it I mean, this is the whole reason why the algorithm allows you to scroll from one subject to the next. And so
Mm-hmm.
our mind does the same thing. What that does is actually trains our mind to be, there's something that says that, like, you get 3 seconds to capture somebody's attention, and
Yes.
they're focused on the next thing. 3 seconds. It used to be 5 seconds. I remember when they first started doing this subject, that study, it was like 7 seconds, and then it was like 5 seconds. Now it's down to like 3 seconds, and maybe even shorter than that now.
Yes.
So that's where we're like, oh, we got to get the hook, and then we have to, hook them and all this kind of stuff. So I'm talking about content, but I'm also saying that it's kind of rewired the way that we think. It's
Mm-hmm.
rewired our brain, and so we have to be willing to stick through and be more disciplined for a longer period of time than what we might be comfortable with. What does that
Right.
mean? That means if open houses are going to be your thing,
Yes.
stick to open houses and just do them over and over and over. I don't care if nobody shows up to your open house.
Yep.
What if okay, well, nobody ever shows up, or I get people who show up, but when I follow up, or the people who show up are always the nosy neighbors. Okay, well, cool. Are you inviting the neighbors? Like, there's a difference between if it's proactive versus reactive.
Right.
If the nosy neighbors is the ones who keep on showing up to your open house, start knocking
Mm-hmm.
on doors, actually, or circle prospecting and invite the neighbors. Now they're
Right.
responding to an invitation as opposed to feeling like an imposition.
Right.
you know and
Exactly.
and so I think that there's agents who are like, well, I need to do open houses, I need to buy leads, I need to get on Zillow, I need to join a team, I need to follow up with, I got they got to do all of these things. And what I'm saying is, like, later for all of that stuff, how about we
Yes.
get good at one? Like, if door knocking is your thing, knock on all the doors. If you feel
Right.
like you're good with cold calling, or if that's not your thing, then that's okay. Don't force it. Do the thing that you know that you can stay consistent at. And if you can stay
Consistent.
consistent, that's it. Consistency is going to breed the focus, because the focus is not just doing the thing, but it's also improving the thing as you're doing it.
Yes. Mastering. I tell
Master.
people, listen, you've got to make a decision, right? That means you cut off everything else. Decision comes from, slicing apart,
That's right.
create just cutting apart. You got to make that defining decision. What's going to get you to where you say you want to go? You got to go all in, and you got to pay a price. Yesterday, I'm gonna share this with you because I want you to, help me, give me your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I said to the people at the MMA Monday Masterclass, MMA is money making activity. I'm like,
Okay.
there's nothing else for you to focus on right now. If it's not money making activity between 9 to 5, you shouldn't be doing it. Nine to
Mm,
five is not the time for you to be fixing your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It's not the time for you to be organizing or reorganizing your office or your home office, or it's not the time for you to be, doing all this other stuff that makes no
yeah.
money. And I said to the people in the room, I said, you know what? I've realized that I'm not going to talk about your dreams anymore, because it is apparent to me that most people's dreams are not worth the price they have to pay
Mm,
to reach them.
hmm.
So let's talk about, instead of talking about the dream, why don't we talk about what you are going to be looking like in the future if you don't do the things that you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the price of your future and what's that going to look like.
That's
What's
good.
2027 going to look like when you don't become disciplined, committed, consistent, and focused?
Yeah.
Let's talk about what it's going to look like when you have to go take another job, which is just over broke, or the journey of the broke. Let's talk about what it's going to look like when you're, 20 years from now, and you're you look back and you realize those that stayed consistent are where they said they would be, and you were left behind. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that, because that seems like you're more focused on doing that than reaching your dream. What do you think about that statement?
I think you're absolutely onto something there, and you're absolutely right because most decisions are made. A lot of people think that decisions are made because people are focused on the pleasure that they're going to get from doing the things, but that's not the truth. The truth is most decisions are made because people are running away from the fear of something. That is the most deciding factor.
Right.
The high deciding factor that motivates people to do something is the aversion of fear, right? Getting away from. So what does that mean? That means that rather than talking about the money that you could make in real estate,
Mm-hmm.
and if you make these calls and then you get these deals and da 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 da, and you you hear people talking about all those things. The other side of that is okay. So let's talk about what happens where you are right now,
Mm-hmm.
where your pain is,
Mm-hmm.
and how is that pain magnified if you don't do the things that you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
What happens if you don't have the number of conversations that you've agreed to have each day? If you don't have 5 conversations, 3 to 5 conversations about real estate with people per day, what do you think happens? Let's talk about that. What happens
Mm-hmm.
if you don't do the things that you need to do in order to have a successful open house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when people start going down that path, if
Mm-hmm.
we can make that pain real for them, then it really helps them to make a decision. It keeps
Mm-hmm.
them on that path.
Right.
This is why people always like, remember where you came from. Remember where you came from. It's become just kind of
Uh-huh.
a cliche phrase, but
Right.
remembering where you came from is like you just mentioned earlier, Lucy, is that like most of us did. We grew up with a different childhood than what we've created in our adulthood life, right?
Right.
I had a great childhood. We weren't poor, busted, and disgusted. Uh, However, I've been able to afford my children a lot more,
Right.
and than I was afforded when I was younger. Um, I've been able to go on a lot more trips. My kids have seen different parts of the world and things that I didn't see when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's like, all right, but if I don't move my feet each day and do the things that I need to do, then that doesn't happen.
Right.
And I want to make sure that that continues to happen. And so, you mentioned the word decision. I like that because we all know what an incision is, right?
Mm-hmm.
The doctor says I need to
Mm-hmm.
make a small incision. You know that
Yeah.
that means to cut in,
Yeah.
and
You
you're
got it.
like,
Uh-huh.
okay. But a decision is the same root word.
Yep.
It's to cut away. So
Separate.
many
Yep.
times it's to separate. So many times when we think about making a decision, we're like focusing on going all in on this thing, but really what you're deciding is what to say no to.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
not the focus that I'm just saying yes to this thing. It's I'm saying no to all these other things. I'm
Yes.
cutting away all these other things. I'm separating this thing from all of the other things so I don't get
Yes.
distracted. That's where focus comes in.
Yes. So I'm done talking. I'm done asking people about their dreams. I am convinced that the human race has found a way to hallucinate about these dreams, but they never really sit down and count the cost of what
Yeah.
it will cost them, you know, to be
Yeah.
able to create this amazing best version of themselves, or, next version of themselves, or what it's going to cost them in blood, sweat, tears, learning, education, work, to build this future that they say they want to have. And so what happens is, because it becomes a fantasy, it becomes like a trendy thing. What's your dream? And everybody
Yeah.
has the same
Yeah.
dream. I want to make money. I want
Yeah.
to be somebody. I want to get ahead. But are you really willing to pay the cost? Do you even know what the cost is?
Mhm.
And for everybody that's watching, Mike Collier is someone that I respect professionally and at the human level, because I've seen you just, step up. I've seen you showcase your gifts, your talents, and I've seen you be that person you say you are, that, you know, person filled with empathy, and I see you how you on stage, you command the room, you talk about what's relevant, you go with the flow, you
Yeah.
tap into the energy. And I just want to thank you for being here with me today. I want to respect your time, but I want us to talk about our latest experience at
Yeah.
Cabo. This was my first Cabo experience, Mike. The first time I was supposed to go to Cabo, 2 days before leaving, I ended up in the hospital in the emergency room
Mm.
with an oxygen level of 57%. They said, it's a miracle you're alive. They rushed
Mm.
me in, and I remember being in that room in isolation, um, just looking at this ceiling, not able to breathe, with a mask that covered my whole face. And I was saying, I'm supposed to be in Cabo, and just questioning, why am I here? Like, when everything else could go wrong,
Yeah.
this goes wrong. Fast forward, this was our first Cabo experience, and it was, for me, just, it ignited my soul. It just opened up a whole new horizon.
Yeah.
And you did something. Tell us about your Cabo experiences and how you've evolved with Cabo and what
Yeah.
it's meant for you, and what we did during that sunrise that you led each
Yeah.
morning.
Happy to.
That was deep. Get ready,
I
people. This is profound. Get ready.
well, if you haven't been to our Cabo Mastermind experience, first of all, you should go. I know it sounds like dreamy. Oh, yeah, must be nice, right? Must be nice. They're in Cabo. But there's a sacrifice that goes along with
Oh, yes.
making the decision to go. The decision. There's things that we had to say no to in order to be able to say
Yes.
yes to that.
Yes.
And so making a decision to attend an event like Cabo, where you're not around the same people in your local area. Yeah, you attend events, but you're in your city. You're in the same state. Um, but what happens when you step outside of maybe your comfort zone? You step into an international destination where people are flying in from all over the world. 1,100 agents from all over the world are there for the exact same reason at the exact
Yes.
same time. And it's an event that was created by one of my mentors, but someone that we all love, Brent Gove and Gene Frederick. They put together this mastermind that is it's world class. It's world
Yes, it
class.
is
And
world
so
class. Let me tell you, it is world class.
yeah,
This experience is world class.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's done. We did it at an all inclusive resort, and I'm just kind of setting the scene just so you can
Hmm.
understand what this is, right? Like once you've decided that you're going to go, you bought your event ticket, and you got your airfare, and you pay for your room. Like there's nothing else that you need to figure out. It's like a cruise ship on land. and
Hmm.
uh and so we're there. My first time was a few years back, so this was my third time. This year was my third time. And I remember the feeling that I had my first time there. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it was one of those experiences where I'm like, more people need to know about this. I'm
Hmm.
going to invite as many people as I possibly know to come to this event. And so the next year I brought some people, um, one of which who I invited and met there. She actually ended up joining my organization after we left. So it ended up being something that was amazing because we have all of these real estate leaders and
Hmm.
pioneers
Hmm.
and just giants really in our
Yeah.
industry who are there, not to be oogled at, but like they're at the pool with you, like they're sitting
Yes.
at the chair right here
Yes. Just
talking,
pouring
right?
into us, pouring
Just
into us.
for whatever
And
reason.
and and these are industry, I mean, nation and global industry titans. I mean, these are people that are like at a, levels that we don't even comprehend. And they come and they pour into us. Like Gary Brecka, he
Oh
finished on
my God.
stage, and and he went one by one talking to people that were suffering from illnesses, or mothers that are fighting for their children's, health,
Health.
not
Yeah.
knowing what to do. And after he was done, the fact that he stood outside surrounded by a circle of people to continue serving them.
Yeah.
Listen, we need to see this level of leadership. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think we understand what leadership is.
Servant leadership.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leadership is serving, and it's serving people beyond ourselves. So go ahead. I just wanted
Yeah.
to highlight
No,
that
yeah,
moment.
no, yeah. I mean, it's exciting. It's hard not to interject, so I get it. So anyway, hopefully I've sold you guys on the idea of getting to our next Cabo Mastermind, which is actually for next year. It's going to be in Scottsdale, so we'll be
Yes,
in Scottsdale. So you don't
Arizona.
even have to have a passport to go to the next Cabo event. We're bringing Cabo to the States. Okay, it's just going to be in Scottsdale this time.
Yes, you got
So
to
if you go
be
to
there.
Scottsdale27.com, you can go check it out. All right, Scottsdale, Arizona. All right, so Scottsdale27.com. But yeah, so my second year that I was there, I had the honor of being awarded the Rick Jiha Award.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the Rick Jiha Award goes to someone who is, out of the nearly 90,000 agents that we have at EXP, someone who has been selected that is consistently authentic,
Mm,
is consistently optimistic, and consistently loving.
mm.
And one person gets selected for that, and I was selected, and I
Wow.
had no earthly idea that was going. It's a full surprise to whoever it goes to.
That was a God moment for you.
It was
I'm
it
sure.
was it was such a humbling moment, and here's why I was so humbled by it, guys. I cried for 3 days. Like it was
Oh,
hard. It was hard for me to even talk about it when someone would ask me about it, and and here's the reason, because it's the only award that I know of in the real estate industry that awards someone not for how many agents they've added to their downline, not
mm-hmm.
how many homes they've sold, but for who they are,
Yes.
who they are, how they make people feel.
Mm.
And and I'm like, and the other thought that I had was like, who creates an award like that? Brent
Our
Gove,
senior leaders. Yes. Our senior partners who
right?
are incredible.
And so it just says a lot about them to even have a moment to create that moment for others. And because this is not a cheap production. They spend nearly $2 million putting an event like this together.
Yes.
It's not an object of their own money. This is not an EXP event. I do
It's
want to
not an
state that
EXP event.
this is not
Yes.
a company sponsored event. This isn't like, oh, EXP does this. No, no, no. These are two guys that happen to be at EXP that put this real estate mastermind together. So there's brokerages from all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
all different types of brokerages. Okay, so I want you to understand that this is not a EXP company event. But they just get it. They understand community. And so my third year which again was this year, I was asked to be the MC, one of the MCs of the event. And
Mm-hmm.
that was awesome. They saw me MCing at another event and was like, dude, this is the energy we need. Like, we got to get you on stage, So I was honored to do it. And but 2 weeks prior to Cabo, I had in my talks with God, I felt God telling me that I should host a sunrise Bible service, right? And and to lay some groundwork. So every year, Brent Gove, the guy who puts all of this together, he does a sunrise Bible service. He does a sunrise service, I'll say, on Sundays. But on Sundays is the day that most people are already gone. Um,
Mm, okay.
and right, so many people fly out on Saturday, and then even if you do the sunrise service, like, you got to get to the airport, right? So you don't have that
Right.
kind of time. And so he would get people there who were staying, but there was a lot of people who couldn't attend it. And every year I always wanted to attend it, and but I didn't get a chance to. And so I said, Lord, I would love to I just love community. Again, I'll create spaces if there isn't already one. And God put it on my heart to do a sunrise Bible service. And so I get there in Cabo, and a couple of days in, and I'm talking to my buddies at dinner. It's just two guys, and it's Josue Soto and Nick Krim. We're sitting at dinner
Mm-hmm.
together. And I said, yeah, man, God put it on my heart to do this like sunrise Bible study. And they're like, oh, that's awesome. And I said, yeah. They're like, well, when are you going to do it? I said, well, I'm starting tomorrow. They're like, oh, that's dope, man. Who's coming? And I was like, you guys. It was like there was no central form of communication, right? So I couldn't get it out to everybody. I didn't know
Right.
how to even tell everybody. I just like, if you guys want to come, come. They're like, all right, cool, we'll come. And so that first day, there was three of us, me, Josue, and Nick. And I prepared just a quick 30-minute study session, and they enjoyed it so much. We walked away from it like, man, this was so beautiful. This was so good. We need to go tell some more people. And they're like, yeah, I'm gonna tell some people. So the next day, 12 people end up showing up.
Yep. Ray and I showed up. It was amazing. Yeah.
It was amazing, right? 12 people. Lucy was there, Ray's there, and you guys got the vision, and you felt the spirit, and it was like, we're gonna go tell some more people. Yeah. And it just so happened that, and I didn't know this at the time. So it was, that sunrise Bible service, that's that second day. Then I go get showered up, go on stage. Well, just before I go on stage, the producer of this whole thing, James Stroop, says, "Hey, I want to let you know. So Brent normally does his Sunday sunrise service, but we're going to move it up this year. He's actually decided to move it up to Friday, which was my day 3 that I was going to be doing this sunrise Bible study. Wow. So he says, I want you to announce it on stage. So I go up and I announce it on stage that this is happening. And there's going to be coffee, and they had a karaoke machine. They were like, they're a lot more fancy than my first 2 days. They had next level, right?
Yes.
And guys, 200 people showed up on day 3.
Wow. And the Spirit of God. And the Spirit of God showed up incredibly. Like it was everything. I could feel it now.
It was everything. I was able to share my testimony. We had a pastor that was out there that kind of led us a bit. And then there was a couple other people that shared their testimony. And we just stood there and watched the sunrise together on Cabo. And I said, God was there. My message, a consistent message that kept on pouring out of my heart was, He's still here and they're still coming. Right? Yes. God, no matter where you are in the thick of it, even when you were in that hospital room trying to suck up all the oxygen that you can, right? God was still there.
Yes, he was.
He was still there. And guess what? He needed you to get through it. And he needed that to be part of your story, because guess what? They're still coming. People are still coming. People are still thirsting for the knowledge of God, the knowledge of the Spirit of God, but they don't understand where to look and what it looks like and what it feels like. So that's why we are meant to be the salt of the earth, the light of the world, to actually show them what it looks like, what it feels like, and let them know, like, yo, that thing that you've been looking for, you've actually been passing by it every single day. You're passing right by it.
You're missing it. Yeah.
You're missing it only because you don't know what to look for. It's not because you're not worthy of it. It's not that it's not there for you. It's actually the kingdom of God is at hand, Jesus said.
Yes, right? It is.
And so which means that it's right there. You just don't know what you're looking for. So Jesus came to help us to understand what we're supposed to be looking for. Yes. And so when you know what you look for, if you know what you're looking for, it's just like if I tell you, I said, hey, go find the car. You don't know what car. You're just like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And I say, well, go find the red car.
Right.
Now, guess what you're going to see? You're going to see all the red cars, and you're going to keep on seeing red cars. If you know what you're looking for, you know how to find it. And so I can tell you that it was amazing that not only 200 people showed up on the beach that morning, but about 20 people gave their life to Christ that morning.
Yes, that was so powerful. That was incredible. And you know what was more incredible? After he made the first invitation, he said, there's more. Tell us about that part.
Yeah, so he made a call and just said, hey, listen, at the end of the day, like all of you guys are out here, but none of this means anything if you don't understand what it is that you're looking for. And if you understand now, after hearing all of this and seeing all of this and witnessing this, that Jesus it should be your Lord and Savior, then, I'd ask for you to raise your hand. So everybody bowed their heads and had their eyes closed. And he just invited people to raise their hand, and if they want to receive Jesus today, and a few people did. I think it was probably about 10 people that did, 10 or 12 maybe, that did it, and we applauded them. And then he goes, but I feel that there's more. I can't help but feel that there's more. Somebody here, like, you should have raised your hand, but you didn't. And I want you to know that that's the enemy that's trying to tell you that you're either not worthy or don't be embarrass yourself or whatever else, because, for whatever reason that you had, you didn't raise your hand. He says, so I want to give a second chance. He said, but this will be my last call. But this is your moment. I'm talking to
Yes.
you. And he said, bow your head, close your eyes. If you didn't raise your hand the first time, but you know that you should have, go ahead and raise your hand. And I'd say about 7 or 8 more people raised their hand. And
Yes.
it was just a joyous occasion. And that was the beginning. Then we all showered and went into the, right? That was the
That
beginning
was
of
the
the next
start of
day,
the
right? That was
day.
the beginning of the day.
Let me tell you, that was the most important meeting of the day.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
meeting with our creator, watching his creation obey him, rise exactly the way he created the sun to rise in such a beautiful way. And then the next day, you did it again.
You kept on doing it, baby.
And that was so amazing. And you know what? I
Kept on
got to
going.
share with you that morning, the Lord said to me, be ready because you will pray for everyone here
Wow.
and impart into them to really activate once they go back. And I'm like, oh my Lord, my brain is just hallucinating, right? Because you
Well,
don't
let
know
me tell
me
you
like
guys.
that.
Let me tell you guys. So the following day after the 200, the following day, I'd say we probably had about 30, maybe 40 people out there. That because people were like, "Well, are you still going to do it?" I said, "Yeah, I'm still going to be out
Hmm.
there. If you want to continue to
Yeah,
come, we won't have coffee.
right,
we
exactly.
we we don't got all that, but we'll have us, and we'll have the Holy Spirit." And so I'd say we had about 30 or 40 people that came out, and Lucy was standing right there in the front, and as I was closing, we went through a lot. It was great, and as I was closing, um, the Lord just said, "Have Lucy pray. Have Lucy pray." And I never heard Lucy pray. I don't know.
Nobody's ever heard me pray. Yes, I know.
Yeah,
That's why it's only God because you guys don't know that side of me, or you
at
didn't.
all. Yeah,
Yeah.
at all. I didn't know, but I just felt a presence. I just felt the Spirit say, "Have her pray." And y'all, I was like, Lucy, can you pray us out? Man, Lucy took us to church in about, I mean, for about 3 or 4 minutes straight, man. She was bang, 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 bang. It was just powerful. And people felt seen, they
Yes.
felt heard, they felt appreciated. And I told you,
Yes.
that's how God wired me to be in the first place.
I love
And
it.
so he's now wired me to be able to create communities like the 50/20 network. I'm a part of. I'm a board of directors of the 50/20 network, which is a faith-based entrepreneurial endeavor. So yeah, it
Wow.
comes out of Genesis 50/20. What the enemy meant
Wow.
to harm me, God turned it around for my good, right? And
Yes.
and so I have that, and it's just really exciting to know that we're all looking for the same thing. I said, a lot of people look for it in drugs and alcohol and other things that they probably shouldn't be doing, um, but we're all ultimately looking for the same thing. We're looking for the
Yes.
presence of God. We're just trying to
Yes.
find it in different ways. And when you know what you're looking for, it's that
Yes.
much easier to find.
Oh, yes, Mike. People are writing in the chat. They're feeling goosebumps. At the end of the day, there's nothing more powerful than understanding the love that God has for us. There's no business more important than our relationship with our Creator through His Son,
Amen.
Jesus Christ. There's nothing more fulfilling because we all want to feel fulfilled. And you just said it. People are, you know, um, running after the money, the materialistic things, other people's opinion. They're just running after other gods, other things
Yeah.
that they think are gonna fulfill them, and nothing's gonna fulfill us
No.
like the presence of God because that's how we were wired at the core. That's our
I,
DNA.
I want to share this really quick because I know we're going to be wrapping here pretty soon. I wanted to share this. So there was a testimony that came out of it. After I shared my testimony, and I won't share all of the details here, but one of the parts that I shared was my kids being born,
Mm,
and it's such a blessing. I know that there are people who struggle with fertility, and there's people who have there's different things that have gone on with children and childbearing and all that kind of stuff. But I will tell you that our story is a unique one in the sense that I told you I have two kids. When we had my daughter, we were so excited. You know, we're pregnant, 2 years into our marriage, and everything is. I'm making great money. Everything is great, and we knew that we were having our girl. And when she was born not breathing for the first
Mm,
5 minutes of her life, and they went into full, resuscitation mode, right? Trying to
mm,
resuscitate her and make sure that she was breathing, try to get all the stuff out of her lungs, all the meconium out of her lungs. And my wife, I remember my wife turning to me and asking, "What's going on?" And she was waiting for the hallmark, get to
right.
hold your
Moment.
baby, and kiss your baby, take the photos right after she was born. And that wasn't our situation. They showed her the baby, and then they put the baby in a plastic clear box and brought her straight to the NICU. And I remember
Mm,
walking with her in that time. And so that was Brooklyn. And then our second child was Bryson, who was born with a hole in his heart.
mm,
And there's two types of holes in your heart. There's one that can close as time goes on, as they get older, and there's one that doesn't close as they get older.
mm-hmm,
And they told us that he has the one that doesn't close.
mm,
And all of my thoughts of what I was going to do with my son, playing football and all the things, right? And I can't play too hard with him because he has this hole in his chest. He can't run track, or he can't get hit in the chest because this hole in
right.
his heart, and all of these things. And I'm just like thinking about that. And so they told us that every 6 months that we need to get him checked out. And actually, it was every 3 months. I'm sorry, every 3 months we need to get him checked out, do a check on his heart, and see that he's good. And so we were doing that for every 3 months when he was first born. And then after about the second year, they were like, you know what? It's actually looking really good. I think
Mm,
it's I think it's a little bit smaller. The hole appears to be a bit smaller than it was when he was first born.
mm-hmm,
And since he's doing so well, you guys just come back every 6 months, and I think he's going to be good. And so we came back every 6 months until he was about 4 years old. And about 4.5 years old, by the grace of God, they told us that hole has completely closed. That hole is closed.
yes,
Guys, that's nothing but God. That's a miracle.
yes, yes,
And and so I tell this story there on the beach in Cabo.
yes.
And afterwards, and Lucy, you don't know this part. Afterwards, um, there was a lady who was standing with her friend, and and everybody was beginning to disperse. And she came over to me for prayer, and she said, can you pray with us?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And and the lady goes, "Thank you so much for sharing your testimony." And I said, "Well, yeah, thanks for being here." And her friend goes, I could tell she was about to cry. I could tell she was about to
Uh-huh.
explode. And her friend goes, "Well, you might as well tell him. You got to tell him." And I said, "Tell me what?" And she goes, "I'm listening to your testimony. And it really hit me because I have two sons. One of
Oh,
them's name is Brooklyn, and he died 2 years ago from a hole in his heart."
oh,
She said, "So when I
oh,
heard you say Brooklyn about your daughter," she goes, "Oh, wow, that's my son's name." And then she heard me mention my son being born with a hole in his heart. She lost it because
wow.
she felt seen by God in that moment. And we don't know why sometimes God allows one child to live, one child to die. We
Mm-hmm.
don't we don't know that, but I can tell you that no matter what happens, he's still here.
Yep.
He's still here. And we are chosen for the things that we go through. It doesn't mean that God necessarily created it. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things happening in this world that God doesn't do,
Mm-hmm.
but He allows it. And we can't ask Him why me and why this and why that any more than we can ask Him why the stars were placed where they were and why the sun comes up when it does. It's not for us to know, but it is for us to love Him no matter what, and know that we
Yes.
are loved no matter what, and make it through those things so that we can share our testimonies with others and help them to be seen in that moment. And that's what this is all about. This is the life, this is the lived experience that you're supposed to be having. Don't hide your light. Share your stories. I always like to say your story is not for you. So share your story as much as you possibly can, whether it's with one person or 1 million people. Share it. That's why you're here.
Woo! Listen, this is how business should be run. Going from, tremendous accomplishments like you shared with us, Mike, through tremendous trials like you shared with us, Mike, and tremendous testimonies, and above all, giving God all the honor and all the glory, because at the end of the day, guys, nobody dies with, a U-Haul on the way to the cemetery. We don't take our bank accounts. We're here to live the best life that God has given us with him as our CEO and at the center. I can't find a better way to close this out. All I can say is let's do a part 2. We need more time to share. It's time for us to bring back God to the marketplace, because let me tell you, the marketplace belongs to God.
And he's in it anyway.
Yes.
He's in it anyway. He can shut you out before you shut him out.
Yes, he can.
Right?
Yes, he can.
So I don't care about rumors of recession. I choose not to participate in the recession. That's it.
Absolutely. Yep. That doesn't apply to us.
That's it.
That doesn't apply to us. Mike, I want to thank you so much for your valuable time. Listen, Southwest Florida needs you here live in person.
I'm in Sarasota right now. I'm not far from you. I'm in Sarasota right now. I'm in the hotel room for spring break with the family. So
awesome. Yes, you're only about an hour away. So yep. Hey, that is prophetic right there. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's bring you down to the academy. I know there will be a room full of people that need to hear your voice and hear your message and everything you have to share. And thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate you greatly, and I'm happy we had this connection today.
Amen. Yes, thank you. All right.
I
appreciate it.
Till the next time. Bye-bye.
Right.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Maxwell, and I am with the Maxwell Mortgage Team in the state of Florida for 36 years, and I help people finance the American dream. Let me help you. I look forward to meeting you.
Red Zone Insurance tiene increíbles oportunidades de franquicias y queremos compartirlas contigo. Llama al 305-255-1901 y conocerás el camino a emprender tu propio negocio, tu propia franquicia. 305-255-1901.
Red Zone Insurance. Red Zone Insurance.